Members of the Jewish community are calling for action following 3 shootings at synagogues across the GTA last week. Good evening. Jewish community leaders were joined by police and all levels of government today, condemning the shootings that targeted synagogues in North York and Thornhill.
Toronto's police chief vowing a relentless investigation to track down those responsible. CTV's John Musselman joins us outside the Sha'arei Shomayim synagogue that was the target of gunfire early yesterday morning. John.
Well, Raheem, we're actually at the command center at Bathurst and Shepherd. This is where police have set up a command center for people to come forward with any information that might be connected to these shootings at 3 synagogues in the last 5 days. The bullets tore through the front doors and shattered a window inside this North York synagogue. It happened early Saturday morning. It's located near Bathurst and Glencairn Avenue. It's the second synagogue shot at this weekend and the third time one has been targeted in the past 5 days. Today, members of the Jewish community, local, provincial, and federal politicians gathered outside the synagogue to condemn the anti-Semitic violence.
This gunfire didn't come from nowhere. Over the last 2 years, our Jewish community has been subject to increasing incidents of hate, intimidation, harassment, and violence.
They are looking to scare us, not just as Jews, but as Canadians. These are not people who wish to harm just the Jewish community. This is a threat to our way of life as Canadians.
I condemn this in the strongest possible terms. This is unacceptable. This is the 3rd synagogue within the last week to be targeted.
At least 6 bullets were fired at this synagogue in Thornhill on Friday night. 2 people were inside. When it happened, no one was injured. And this temple near Bayview and the 401 was hit by gunfire on Monday. Toronto Police Chief Myron Demkew says Toronto and York Regional Police are cooperating in this investigation to determine if it's connected.
This is completely appalling, and we are treating this with the utmost seriousness. Our integrated gun and gang task force, along with other specialized teams, are working very actively on this investigation.
Congregants like Daniel Held, who is a youth leader at this synagogue, says his family has been coming here to worship for more than a decade. He says the community will not be intimidated.
For me, what was most important was Saturday morning being here, which is Shabbat morning. It is the time on the Jewish calendar when we gather every week for prayer as a community. And the synagogue was full. The synagogue was full with members of our community who are scared, but are also standing tall and standing resilient because that's what we do.
Still, the war in the Middle East has heightened tension in the community. A small protest was held at Bathurst and Shepherd today. Demonstrators on one side of the street condemning the bombing in Iran and denouncing Israel. Demonstrators on the other side defending the action of Israel and the United States. It remained peaceful. There was a significant police presence during the protest to keep both sides separated. And Andrea, Raheem, one of the key messages today from that news conference was the fact that an attack on the Jewish community is an attack on all Canadians, and that's why they're calling for this united front against anti-Semitism. Reporting live, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back to you.
Thanks, John. The province's police watchdog has been called in after a man was shot by officers in a Burlington motel parking lot early this morning. The shooting happened around 12:30 in the parking lot of a motel on Plains Road. The SIU says a 23-year-old man was shot multiple times during a traffic stop after he allegedly attempted to drive at officers. He was taken to a hospital in Hamilton and is in stable condition. A female passenger was also in the vehicle and was not injured. Anyone with information is asked to contact the SIU.
Toronto police are searching for a man who allegedly injured a cab driver during a knife-point robbery downtown Thursday night. Investigators say the driver was attacked by a passenger near Front Street and University Avenue around 7:30. It's alleged the driver pulled over to drop off a man when he showed a knife and demanded money. Officers say the man cut the victim and then fled the scene. The taxi driver was taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. And police are searching for 47-year-old Jimmy Manani, wanted on charges of forcible confinement and assault. Police were called to the area of Pelham and Lawton Avenue, south of Davenport, for a suspicious incident on Friday, noting a man was seen driving a vehicle with a woman in the passenger seat screaming. The vehicle fled the scene before officers arrived. The vehicle has an Ontario license plate number DJPN 971 and is described as a red 2010 Mazda CX-7 with a missing rear view mirror. Anyone with information is asked to contact police.
And officers are warning about scammers using fraudulent Toronto police phone numbers to try and steal banking information and other personal information. Now, investigators say the caller will address victims by their first name and then claim to be a member of the Toronto Police Service investigating a fraudulent scam. Officers are reminding people they will never contact you by phone and make any demands for payment. Residents are being reminded not to give any banking or personal information over the phone. And a 53-year-old man is dead after a crash in Durham region early this morning. OPP say the head-on crash happened just before 6 o'clock on Highway 7 near 4th Line in Port Perry. One driver was pronounced dead at the scene, and 2 people from the other vehicle were airlifted to hospital with serious injuries. The cause is being investigated.
Well, more news in a moment, but first here's a live look at the city this evening, and what a day it has been. I mean, hopefully the springing forward and losing an hour of sleep, that didn't deter you from getting outside, because it was a gorgeous day. Plenty of sunshine. Yeah. Let's take a look at the satellite radar. Not much to show you in our neck of the woods. Nice. Yeah, a little bit of cloud cover here and there. I know it's showing a little bit of activity, but nothing in the GTA, and a lot of that is just clutter, and so it won't actually be hitting the ground there.
Clutter?
Yeah, clutter. That's a weather term. Here are the winds. 24 kilometers per hour in Toronto, 43 kilometers per hour in Hamilton. Those are the sustained wind speeds. These are the gusts in Hamilton, all the way up to 57 kilometers per hour. Ooh. Niagara Falls, 67 kilometers per hour. Let's talk temperatures, shall we? Windsor, 13 degrees. Goderich, 8 degrees. And up in Parry Sound, we are sitting at 4. At the island, still a little bit of sunshine, as well as Pearson Airport, still in double digits at 11 degrees. Our overnight low tonight will be 5 degrees. That's well above the normal. We do have a little bit more sunshine coming our way, but also we are not done with the below zero temperatures, and we'll give you all those details coming up. Andrea.
Thanks, Raheem. Iranian state media reports an assembly of clerics has chosen the country's next supreme leader, Mujtaba Khomeini, to succeed his father Ali after he was killed in U.S. and Israeli strikes last week.
Analysts say it's a sign hardliners remain in charge in Tehran as the conflict intensifies. CTV's Adrian Gobriel reports.
Travel this winding road flanked by the snow-capped Zagros mountain range. You will eventually find yourself at a passage where thousands have flocked to in recent days. Bags in hand, many arrive fleeing war and persecution. Others, heading in the opposite direction, take this long walkway, with war awaiting their arrival.
This is the Kapokoi Crossing. It's one of the oldest borders in the Middle East. It dates back to the 17th century. Now it's located right here on the historic Silk Road. And today, it's the busiest of 3 land borders that links Iran to Turkey.
Are people afraid to talk, though?
Very much.
Why are people afraid to talk?
Their lives.
We met this father from British Columbia, crossing into Turkey with his wife and children. They were visiting loved ones in central Iran when the war began. To protect his extended family still in Iran, we've agreed to keep his identity private. 9 days caught in this conflict has left him shaken.
Loud explosions. I think anybody who has experienced that will understand. You are afraid for your life, right? And for the lives of your dear ones, right?
And this is in part what he was fleeing, an apocalyptic scene in Tehran where an inferno burns at the Shahran oil depot, following targeted airstrikes today by U.S. and Israeli forces on oil storage facilities in Iran. The black smoke so thick, reports of oil raining down were reported across the Iranian capital. As air raid sirens sound, this massive crater marks the spot of an Iranian missile attack in central Tel Aviv. Multiple Gulf states also coming under fire just 1 day after Iran's president apologized for previous attacks. The president of the United Arab Emirates warning Iran today, saying the UAE has thick skin and bitter flesh. We are no easy prey. Stateside, U.S. President Donald Trump watched on as a dignified transfer of 6 fallen soldiers killed in the early hours of this conflict took place at Dover Air Force Base. Back at the Kapakoi border crossing, it's people caught in the crosshairs of conflict who carry the weight of this war with each step and each goodbye.
It must be difficult for you to be leaving your family behind.
Right, it is.
Your fears for them?
Yeah, I hope that bomb will not hit them. That's all I hope, yes.
With the war growing more volatile by the day, it's a hope shared by many in this region. Adrian Gobriel, CTV News, Vaughan Province, Turkey.
An investigation is underway in Norway after the U.S. Embassy was hit by a loud explosion early this morning. Officials in Oslo say only minor damage was caused and nobody was hurt in what may have been a deliberate attack linked to the crisis in the Middle East. Police said they're still exploring other options as well. The U.S. State Department said it was aware of the incident. A spokesperson thanked Norwegian authorities for their efforts to get to the bottom of what happened. U.S. lawmakers have been clashing over the military strikes in Iran, with some questioning President Trump's authority to order them without congressional approval.
The debate has mostly played out along partisan lines, with Republicans blocking efforts to restrain Trump's war powers.
By definition, we're not at war. That's what Congress does when we declare war. There's about a 60-day clock where the president can do more or less what he wants to. But I think in this particular case, he's going to need a supplemental to sustain an effort. So let's be instructed by the War Powers Resolution. If we move into 60 days of hostility, then technically the president should be ramping down the following 30 days. If it's going to take longer than that, and we know what our objectives are now, then let's make a request and let the administration make a request of Congress to not only provide supplemental funding, but probably a request for the authorization of use of military force.
Many Democrats have been critical of the Trump administration's strikes in Iran, but party leaders in Congress haven't said how they'd vote if the White House asked for more money for the military.
Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it in terms of if the administration makes a request to Congress to consider additional funding. But at this particular point in time, the administration has failed to make its case as to the rationale or justification for this war of choice in the Middle East. Listen, candidate Trump promised that he was not going to get the country into an endless war, particularly in the Middle East, in the aftermath of what we saw in places like Iraq and Afghanistan. President Trump has now done the exact opposite.
Hakeem Jeffries said without a compelling rationale, the president is going to have a difficult case to make on Capitol Hill. Republicans control the House and Senate, but need some Democratic votes to pass legislation in the Senate.
The conflict in the Middle East is quickly pushing countries to rethink their energy supply as they look for sources they can readily access and rely on.
CTV's Jeremy Sharon takes a closer look at how it could impact Canada's energy sector.
It connects the Persian Gulf to the open ocean, making the Strait of Hormuz a crucial passage for about 1/5 of the flow of global oil and liquefied natural gas.
This has changed our whole view of risk and where oil comes from, where natural gas comes from.
The majority of the oil and gas on the tankers navigating the narrow passage are destined for Asian markets. Countries like China, India, Japan, and South Korea are the most vulnerable to disruptions.
We now see that Iran can shut this strait down, and it means that there's going to be less countries who want to rely on Middle East oil. So where are they going to get it?
In the short term, experts suggest some could be forced to turn to Russian oil. But Canada could also help provide some immediate relief, though the capacity to increase our oil and gas exports to Asian markets through existing infrastructure is limited.
So Canada does have an ability to put some additional oil onto the world market, but we can't hope to satisfy all of the lost production from the Middle East right now.
In the long term, Canada's energy minister says there are already indications countries could come calling.
What's happening in the Middle East is making our allies more and more focused on Canada.
And Tim Hodgson says those allies are looking for something specific that Canada can provide.
They want a reliable, a secure, and a sustainable source of energy going forward.
But to create the capacity to be able to provide that, Canada still has significant hurdles to cross.
We don't have the pipeline capacity right now going over the Rockies to really become a large exporter to the Asian markets.
That would require a second West Coast pipeline, which is the intended outcome of a memorandum of understanding between Ottawa and Alberta. But it's far from a guarantee, not to mention would still take years to build. Jeremy Sherrill, CTV News, Ottawa.
U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright says American forces are focused on degrading Iran's ability to disrupt traffic in the Strait of Hormuz.
We're nowhere near normal traffic right now. And, that'll take some time. But again, worst case, that's a few weeks. That's not months. And we have that oil. We have the world is very well supplied with oil right now. The United States is a net oil exporter. We're a net natural gas exporter. We are suffering high prices, not in natural gas, but in oil, because it's a globally connected market. We're communicating with our allies abroad. The oil is there. You're seeing a little bit of fear premium in the marketplace, but the world is not short of oil today or natural gas.
Asked about the U.S. giving India a 30-day waiver to buy sanctioned Russian oil, Wright said Washington's policy on Russia hadn't changed. He said the goal was to tamp down on fear about supply shortages as a pragmatic effort with a short time span. Prime Minister Mark Carney has called a trio of by-elections for next month, which could have a major impact on his party's standing in Parliament.
2 of those votes are taking place here in Toronto. CTV's Kamal Kermali has a closer look at what's at stake.
Here in this Toronto neighborhood of Yorkville, as the winter melts away into spring, there's also a change taking place in the political landscape, with the by-election being announced.
It's good that it's being announced because there's been so much discussion on what's going to happen, and I think it puts some finality on it.
Prime Minister Mark Carney announcing 3 by-elections today. 2 of them will be in Toronto, another in Quebec. The riding of University Rosedale left vacant when former Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland decided to become a volunteer advisor to Ukraine's president. Former Liberal MP for Scarborough Southwest Bill Blair now appointed Canada's High Commissioner to the UK. And for Terrebonne, Liberal Tatiana Auguste defeated Bloc Québécois candidate Nathalie Sinclair de Gagné by 1 vote, but that was overturned by the Supreme Court last month. The 2 will once again go head-to-head.
And there's a lot on the line. The Liberals right now have 169 seats in the House of Commons. Winning all 3 by-elections would be enough to give them a thin majority government.
Governments typically only call by-elections when they expect they can win them. And so I have a sneaky suspicion that the Liberals are feeling optimistic about their prospects in Terrebonne.
In University Rosedale, family physician Dr. Danielle Martin will be trying to replace Freeland in the Liberal stronghold, taking on NDP candidate Serena Purdy. While in Scarborough Southwest, in a shocking defection, former Ontario NDP deputy leader Dolly Begum will run for the federal Liberals. She'll take on Fatima Shaban, who contested the riding last year. The Conservatives have not announced candidates yet for all 3 ridings. Kamal Karamali, CTV News, Toronto.
The new Prime Minister of the Netherlands visited Ukraine today, highlighting the need for ongoing support in the face of Russia's invasion.
While the war in Iran is ongoing, the Russian attacks on Ukraine are also ongoing. And it is crucial that we have enough delivery of weapons and ammunition to the Ukrainian armed forces so that they can continue to protect the Ukrainian people and make advances on the battlefields as much as possible.
The Netherlands have been one of the driving forces behind an international coalition to supply Ukraine with fighter jets and air defense systems.
As the Carney government looks to reset ties with India, Saskatchewan's premier says Canada needs to find ways to separate trade talks from national security concerns when dealing with certain countries.
The federal government needs to ensure that foreign interference from whatever country is not happening in our nation and keep Canadians safe. And 2, when laws are broken, we do rely on the RCMP to enforce those laws and enforce them vigorously. But we also have to remain at the table in countries where we have differences, and we need to, not entirely, but largely separate some of the trade conversations to a degree from some of the other, very difficult conversations that we have.
Scott Moe joined Prime Minister Mark Carney on the first leg of his Indo-Pacific trade tour to India, Australia and Japan. In India, Carney signed a series of agreements. They included a $2.6 billion deal that will see a Saskatchewan-based company supply India with millions of pounds of uranium. Well, today marks International Women's Day, a global celebration to honor the political, social, and economic achievements of women all around the world.
In Ottawa, crowds gathered at City Hall this weekend to honor a Supreme Court trailblazer. CTV's Natalie Van Roy reports.
I didn't feel like a trailblazer. I was just
doing what a client asked me to do, what a women's group asked me to do.
Former Justice of the Supreme Court of Canada, Rosalie Silberman Abella, was the first Jewish woman appointed to the court.
I didn't know in law school or in my own life that life was exclusionary for women. And from my clients, I knew how very unfair the laws were.
The City of Ottawa honoring her ahead of International Women's Day. A packed room. Honored to be present.
Rosie Abella was really incredible. I grew up following all the court decisions of the Supreme Court. I feel very lucky because of Justice Abella's decisions. I was able to marry my wife.
Abella was born in a displaced persons camp in Germany before her family came to Canada as refugees in 1950. From there, she dreamed big of being a lawyer and quickly rose through the ranks during her career.
To hear from a Jewish woman, especially in these times of heightened anti-Semitism, to hear her speak so proudly, so strongly about how important her Jewish identity is to her was so meaningful and touching and inspirational. It was truly an honor to be here.
A married mother of two, Abella says raising her family the toughest job because of how important it was. She shared this message on finding the right workplace.
You need to be where you can be who you are, because if you keep trying to fit yourself into a square peg and you're round, I find round gets bigger and bigger every year. You won't be happy.
For about 100 years, International Women's Day has celebrated achievements. Over the years, the day has marked gender parity and raises awareness on discrimination. Now it comes at a time when more women than ever are excelling in sport, leadership, and politics. Natalie Van Roy, CTV News.
Back in the city, HIV advocates have launched their own redesign proposal for the AIDS Memorial at Barbara Hall Park. The memorial opened more than 30 years ago to honor those who died of AIDS-related illnesses. Phase 2 of the park's redevelopment plan is currently underway by the city, but community members and residents living with HIV say the city hasn't meaningfully engaged them or incorporated their feedback into plans for the memorial. Advocates also say the site has been neglected in recent years, noting that rose bushes were removed and plaques have been left damaged by graffiti and scratches.
If you go and look around, you can't find the word AIDS. You'll find HIV, but you can't find AIDS, and that's a problem. AIDS is still here. It's still happening. I'm a CanFAR ambassador. I go and speak in different places specifically to remind people that it's still here and it's still something that we all should be talking about and learning for ourselves what we can't do, what we should do, all of those things.
This has been a 3-year process. Many people have been involved in it. And whatever gets built at the AIDS Memorial has to fit into that larger plan. And, you know, most of it does, but we have to look at it from, you know, the lens of accessibility, the lens of maintainability, and financial feasibility, and figure out what can be incorporated into the designs and what might need to be evolved a little bit as these things go. But that's our commitment.
The community-driven proposal includes new pillars to expand the memorial's capacity, a deep vegetative buffer for privacy and noise reduction, and new artwork. Advocates want the city to adopt their redesign instead, saying it better reflects the history, needs, and voices of people living with HIV.
As the Premier floats plans to expand Billy Bishop to accommodate larger planes, a big change is coming to cross-border travel out of the island airport. The Federal Minister of Transportation will be holding a press conference tomorrow morning at the airport, announcing the start of U.S. border pre-clearance services there. That means, just like at Toronto Pearson, travelers will go through customs before takeoff. Flights will then be able to land at domestic terminals in the States, with potential benefits on costs and scheduling. Air Canada will add flights to Boston, New York, Washington, and Chicago from Billy Bishop in the coming weeks, joining Porter, which already flies to the U.S. from the airport.
And from the air to the ground, a heads up for subway riders that a closure continues on a stretch of Line 2 this weekend. There's no train service between Victoria Park and Kennedy because of track work. Shuttle buses are running instead. Warden Station is closed, but all the other stations in that stretch remain open so riders can buy fares and connect to buses. Regular service is set to resume at 6 a.m. tomorrow.
Coming up this hour, freezing for a reason. We head to the polar plunge at the Toronto Zoo, where people took a deep dive for a good cause. That story just ahead.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
While many people spent their Sunday soaking in some sunshine, others decided this was the perfect day to actually cool off.
Hundreds of people, including Toronto police officers, took a polar plunge in support of incredible Ontario athletes. Taking the plunge and soaking up the moment while adding some flair. Members of the Toronto Police Service are jumping in support of Special Olympics athletes across the province.
It feels very cold, but well worth it. We're a great cause, so you know what, it's worth it. It's all worth it.
This polar plunge supports programming and events for 23,000 athletes, a partnership between police and Special Olympics Ontario, which dates back to 1987.
Well, they keep telling me I'm freezing for a reason, and it's a great reason, supporting the Special Olympics athletes. Can't wait to get into the sauna. Can't wait to see everybody out supporting this next year. It takes a community to make programs like this possible. We're so grateful for the work our partners at the police do, and these kids are just so inspirational.
This year's plunge is taking place at the Waterside Theatre inside the Toronto Zoo. 260 people registered to brave the frigid waters while raising more than $55,000.
This year is very special to us because we have a large team from Ontario traveling to Medicine Hat, Alberta for the National Games.
Through their initiatives like this today, officers don't just talk about the community, they show up for it, they run, they raise funds, they volunteer, and today they're going to plunge.
2, 3, go!
Cold water, warm hearts, and a cause worth the chill.
Okay, I've got so many things to say. First of all, synchronized jumping is very good.
Loved it.
But today was a pretty mild day. If you're going to do it,
got off easy.
I'm not doing it, so what can I say? But, you know, if you're going to do it, today's the day.
We have to know what the temperature of the water was. That's the only thing we're missing, so hopefully we can get
cold.
That. Cold, yes. It's not cold outside. It's been a great day. In fact, it's not only is it warm today, it was also warm yesterday. Roll this. Let me show you guys this. We have hit a record yesterday. In fact, it's a record that was set last in 1860. Yes, the old record was 17.2 degrees. Yesterday, we hit 17.6 degrees at Pearson Airport, and we were not the only ones. Our friends in Oakville, Tillsonburg, Simcoe, and St. Catharines, they all hit new record highs yesterday. Simcoe even hitting, what was that, 18.6 degrees. St. Catharines, 20.3 degrees. Their old record was set back in 1946. And we're not done with the warm temperatures just yet. Currently in Toronto, we're sitting at 11 degrees. Windsor, 14 degrees. This is your evening at a glance. Maybe you want to go for an evening stroll. Not bad either. You might need a light jacket. By 7 p.m., it will be 9 degrees and a few clouds. Also, a little bit windy. We've been dealing with some sustained winds throughout the day, so be mindful of that. By 11 p.m., a few clouds and 5 degrees. Our overnight lows well above normal for this time of year. In fact, 10 degrees above normal for us in Toronto. Our overnight low will be 5 degrees. As we wake up tomorrow, it'll be 5 degrees by 7 a.m. And by 9 a.m., we start getting a little bit of sunshine. Yes, mainly sunny by 9 a.m. And we will climb all the way up to 13 degrees tomorrow. So another beautiful day with plenty of sunshine. London will be the big winner tomorrow, sitting at 15 degrees as their daytime high. Normal for this time of year is 3. Let's show you the 7-day forecast because we're not dealing with these great temperatures all week. So get outside tomorrow and enjoy it. On Tuesday, we do well from a temperature perspective, but there is a 30% chance of showers. And then for sure, we're going to see some more showers on Wednesday. And take a look at that overnight low on Wednesday, because that's when we take a dramatic drop back to negative temperatures at -4 degrees. Then on Thursday, as I mentioned, we're not done with the below zero temperatures. It's going to be feeling like -5 when you factor in the wind chill on Thursday. Similar conditions on Friday, and that's going to come with some mixing as well. On Saturday, we get a slight break from that mixed precipitation right around the freezing mark, sun cloud mix, and then Sunday we could see some more snow as well. So a bit of a mixed bag, but obviously it's been a great weekend, and tomorrow it continues for another day. Andrea.
Thanks, Raheem. Well, Canada has struck its first gold at the Milan Cortina Paralympic Winter Games. BC's Natalie Wilkie landed on the top of the podium in the women's standing biathlon event. She also grabbed the silver in yesterday's women's sprint competition. The 25-year-old as a co-flag bearer for Canada at the opening ceremony, and it's the 4th medal of her career. Canada currently sits in 4th in the medal standings with 6, 1 gold, 3 silver, and 2 bronze.
To the hard court, where the Raptors are trying to get back in the win column, taking on the Dallas Mavericks tonight.
Getting to the basket.
Edwards attacking.
The Raps are coming off a 115-107 loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves on Friday night for their 2nd straight defeat. They're hoping to turn things around, hosting the #1 draft pick, Cooper Flagg, and the Dallas Mavericks tonight, who have lost 6 straight. The game tipped off just after 6 p.m. at Scotiabank Arena, and the Raptors currently leading in the first quarter.
A team that's not leading on the ice. The woes continue for the struggling Maple Leafs, who've now lost 7 straight games.
Cycles it off Nylander, and here's Nylander with a break, and Machelli scores!
Yeah, that was a highlight. The Buds fell 5-2 to the Atlantic Division leading Tampa Bay Lightning last night. Mateus Machelli opened the scoring early in the first period with his 13th of the season, but that was the last time the Leafs held the lead. Tampa responded with 5 unanswered goals and took full control of the game. Toronto has still not won since returning from the Olympic break. They'll try to turn things around on Tuesday when they visit the Montreal Canadiens.
To the Diamond, and Canada opened play at the World Baseball Classic today, taking on Colombia yesterday.
At Wrigley, was placed in a concussion protocol, did not return, but he crushes this one high and deep to right. Mariaga back, looking up, and this ball's gone.
Burlington native Owen Casey opening the scoring in the 2nd inning with a 2-run homer. The Canadians led throughout most of the game and added 4 insurance runs in the 8th to secure the 8-2 win. Canada continues pool play, taking on Panama at 7 o'clock tonight in Puerto Rico.
And on the pitch, TFC will be looking for their first win of the fresh season, visiting FC Cincinnati.
In goes the German, cut home!
The Reds are coming off a 3-0 loss in Vancouver last weekend, with the Whitecaps scoring all 3 goals in the first half. Tonight marks Toronto's 3rd match of the season as they look to get back on track in Cincinnati. The match is set to kick off at 7.
Well, it's now less than 100 days until the 2026 FIFA World Cup kicks off. And to mark the countdown, FIFA has dropped the official poster for the tournament. Check this out. The artwork was created together by artists from Canada, the U.S., and Mexico, each bringing their own style, but blending them into one piece that really shows how the game brings people together. One of the artists involved in the poster is from Toronto, and we spoke with him about the artwork.
The biggest thing that we really wanted to accomplish was to really celebrate diversity here, diversity and unity, especially now with with the climate of the world and everything. We really wanted to bring humanity together, united through the love of sport, put our differences away, and the pitch has been the sacred piece of land where we all come together and celebrate humanity, celebrate the sport in on the world stage.
The 2026 FIFA World Cup kicks off June 11th with the first match in our city on June 12th, with Canada kicking off their tournament at Toronto Stadium.
Still ahead, a corny Broadway musical is the latest production to hit the Mervick stage. We'll take you behind the scenes of Shucked when we return.
on one of our communities is an attack on all of us.
Updating our top stories, after 3 GTA synagogues were targeted by gunfire in recent days, Toronto police and government officials joined Jewish community leaders at one of those places of worship this morning in North York. The police chief condemned the incidents and said the investigation is being treated with the utmost seriousness.
Iranian state television says an assembly of clerics has chosen the country's next supreme leader, Mojtaba Khomeini, to succeed his father Ali after he was killed in U.S. and Israeli strikes last week. This comes as Israel and the U.S. keep up strikes on Iran, and the Islamic regime continues to target countries across the Gulf region.
Governments typically only call by-elections when they expect they can win them.
And get ready to see campaign signs on city streets. Prime Minister Mark Carney has set the dates for 3 by-elections, including 2 in Toronto. The Liberals will be looking to hold on to the seats vacated by former ministers Bill Blair and Chrystia Freeland. If they win those 2 and the 3rd seat in Quebec, they'd secure a razor-thin majority in the House of Commons. Respiratory virus cases have been relatively low since a significant wave of the flu early in the season, but there are some signs infections may be picking up again. Toronto Public Health publishes a dashboard looking at infection trends in the city. Figures up to the end of February show positivity rates for the flu remaining stable, while COVID-19 levels drop slightly. At the same time, the dashboard shows rising levels of both viruses in the city, with COVID-19 activity now considered high. Public health experts have recommended precautions, including keeping up to date on vaccines, considering masks in some crowded indoor settings, and staying home when sick. A Scarborough native is making his mark on Hollywood.
Stephan James is one busy actor with not 1, not 2, but 3 projects on the small and big screen. On the red carpet at the Toronto Film Critics Association Awards Gala this week, presenter Stephan James is being pulled in many different directions, and that's understandable. The Scarborough native has 3 major new projects this year.
I'm promoting 2 films right now. So I have Netflix's War Machine that's coming out on Friday on the platform, so really, really exciting. I have Ricky that's coming out in theaters, a film that I did with Miss Sheryl Lee Ralph.
That's a lot for one actor. Let's break it down. Retreat! First, War Machine with Alan Ritchson of Reacher fame. It's available now on Netflix.
Netflix's War Machine, it is a ride of a film about a group of soldiers who are training to be Rangers, and let's just say they come across something pretty unreal in the training. So I'm excited for people to see it.
How long you did? 15. Same time you did ain't you get out. You can do whatever you want now. The world is yours.
Up next, the Sundance Film Festival's award-winning film, Ricky, a powerful drama about surviving life after prison.
I'm here doing my job, trying to save your son.
His parole officer is played by Emmy Award winner Sheryl Lee Ralph. Ralph is a native of Jamaica, as is James's mother. When she heard who his co-star was, she was impressed.
She passed out. She was like, you know, she didn't even care about me after that point. It was all about Miss Ralph, so I'm just grateful I could do that for my mom.
If that's not enough, later this year, and look closely, that's James portraying actor Carl Weathers, who played Apollo Creed. The Sylvester Stallone biopic, I Play Rocky, a biographical drama depicting the making of the Oscar-winning film, Rocky.
Oh man, I'm overwhelmed. You know, it's funny because I think that, you know, you suffer from a thing where people think that, like, you're used to it, and I'm not. You know, I'm not used to it. I feel incredibly grateful to be here, to be amongst my peers, to be recognized in this way, to feel like I belong, and I always want that feeling. I'm always chasing that feeling.
It's a good feeling to have. Okay, that was his brother in the background. I'll have a story on him very soon. Okay, Academy members have voted, and soon we'll know the results. We're just 1 week away from the Oscars. Vampire horror film Sinners leads the list of nominees up for consideration in 16 categories. In several of those, it's expected to face stiff competition from Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another. Not to mention fellow multiple nominees like Frankenstein, shot here in Toronto, and Marty Supreme, to name a few. A total of 10 titles are up for Best Film. Comedian Conan O'Brien will return to host the 98th Academy Awards next Sunday evening, airing right here on CTV. And there's a new musical on stage in the city that you can describe as perhaps a little corny.
A Tony Award-winning Broadway show, Shucked, is a small-town story about love, life, and corn. CTV's Carol Charles recently sat down with some of the cast.
I'm talking corn.
In a small town called Cobb County, corn is at the center of everyone's life.
Cobb County is entirely encased in corn. There is nothing but corn. Everywhere you look, corn as high as an elephant's eye.
Problem is, the crop starts dying, and since the vegetable is the town's staple, their livelihood is in jeopardy. That's when Maisie, played by Danielle Wade, steps up to save her small town. She leaves home for the first time in an attempt to find someone who can come to their rescue.
I think she gets a little more than she expected in Tampa. She finds herself in a sticky situation that she doesn't even realize she's with our lovable con man.
Brace yourself. The supposed expert she returns with isn't what he appears to be.
She's an easy mark, and she believes so wholeheartedly. She just walks right in and she thinks I'm a corn doctor, and I'm shucked, if you will, that she thinks that that's what I can do for her.
This isn't an argument. I'm right, and you're just saying things.
The show was a musical comedy with a message about community and believing in yourself.
I think going out of her small town and adventuring, much like a lot of us, we adventure somewhere bigger to realize that we had it in us the whole time. We just didn't know.
This show to me is really powerful because it's about community, it's about family. There's something really disarming about laughing together and listening to great music.
The production will run until April 5th here at the Princess of Wales Theatre. Carol Charles, CTV News.
100 years since a Cape Breton runner took top prize at the prestigious Boston Marathon. A group of East Coast runners will be taking part in the race to mark the milestone. Their story after the break.
This spring will mark 100 years since Cape Breton, Nova Scotia's Johnny Miles shocked the world by winning the prestigious Boston Marathon.
Miles, a great name. And CTV's Ryan McDonald reports a big crew of island runners will be heading to the famed race to follow in his footsteps.
The third Monday in April will mark 100 years since this moment, when an unknown kid, to everyone but the people back home in Sydney Mines, of course, came out of nowhere to win the 1926 Boston Marathon.
It's been a goal of mine to get to this marathon because Johnny Miles is such a big deal around here.
This year, more than a dozen Cape Breton runners, including these four, will mark the centennial of Miles' historic win by heading to Boston and running the race.
I wanted to be able to go to Boston and wear a shirt that says, I'm following in the footsteps of Johnny Miles.
From the looks of things, he will. These shirts are being ordered for the Cape Breton runners to wear on the Boston course.
I mean, it is an amazing feat. Johnny Miles is one of our Nova Scotia's greatest athletes.
And much has been done in his hometown to preserve his memory. There's a highway sign, a larger-than-life statue, and annual races in Sydney Mines and in New Glasgow, where Miles lived later in life, that bear his name.
It's nearly on par with the Olympics, the Boston Marathon, and so well known. So for us to have someone that's been there 100 years ago, won it, then went to the Olympics in 1928.
Then and now, part of the Miles legend is his blue-collar background. He once worked in his father's coal mine and first ran the world's most famous race in a pair of 98-cent sneakers.
He would run after the milk cart, and that was his training.
T-shirt that his mom sewed a maple leaf on the front of.
For years, Bostonians have known Nova Scotia for their Christmas tree, and on April 20th, some of them might once again remember the province's marathoner who came to their city and became a champion.
When they see that people are running in the footsteps of someone who has done it in the past, I think they catch on. People who run Boston, they know the history of Boston.
And of course, Johnny Miles won Boston a second time in 1929, so in 3 years, no doubt another contingent of proud Cape Bretoners will mark that milestone as well. Ryan McDonald, CTV News, Louisbourg, Nova Scotia.
Are they going to run all the way?
I mean, based on the weather we've had right now, you could make it because it's been gorgeous outside. Take a look at that live shot. And how about this? The sun has not set just yet. It's a beautiful thing. Let's take a look at the satellite radar. Not much to show you here. A little bit of cloud cover, but no activity hindering us by any means. Currently 9 degrees in Niagara Falls, 14 degrees in Windsor, and Peterborough 8 degrees. Here's your school day forecast tomorrow. It's shaping up to be another great day. By noon, it'll be 9 degrees and mainly sunny. Keep in mind that the winds will be fairly strong, up to 50 kilometers per hour, and we climb to 12 degrees by 3 p.m. all the way up to our daytime high of 13. Similar conditions on Tuesday. The showers will roll in on Wednesday, and Wednesday night we drop down to below 0 on the overnight low, down to -4. And then when you wake up on Friday, we're back to feeling like -5. Andrea.
Thanks, Raheem. We'll be sure to join us tonight at 11 for the CTV National News with Heather Butts, followed by our next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and online at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For all the hardworking people in front of and behind the camera, thanks for watching. Have a good night. I'm Andrea Case.
And I'm Raheem Rabat.